Hello YouTube. Sorry about the background noise, but it's raining outside. This video is about this generator. It's a wonderful generator. We've used it for years, but it's been sitting here in a barn. We need to do maintenance to it and get it back in service. We're out of the barn and in a nice warm shop. The first thing we're going to do is get rid of this bad gas. Didn't get a mouthful. The next thing we'll do is we'll drain the oil out, and what I do is I tool it back, open up the port, take a 10mm socket, loosen the drain pin, unscrew it. It shouldn't drain out because it's all drained to the back. Put a hose on it. And let it drain into my recycle can. Now, you should really run this thing before you drain the oil to get the oil nice and hot. But this is not running right now, so I'm just going to give it a long time to drain. While we're waiting for it to drain, we'll open up some presents from Amazon. We have a non-spillable battery that was upside down. We have an air filter, some Honda oil, and a Honda spark plug, and an extra quart of Honda oil. The nice thing about this clear tube is I can see when it's done draining. There's no oil in the tube at all. So now we can go and put some oil in. We'll put about a half a quart in and then we'll check it. This is Honda oil. They want 1030. It's not full yet, it's not up to the top of the threads. And now it's right up to the top of the threads. We'll check it with the dipstick, and it's full, and we'll screw our fill cap on. And on to the next step. While we're on this end, we'll clean the spark arrestor. And to get to that, you have to remove the 10mm sockets on the end. Slide the end back off. Remove the exhaust shield. That's a 10mm also. Remove the handle. That's 4 12mm bolts. Tilt the cover out because you can't get it off because you have to take this lower plate off in order to get it out. But it gives us enough room to remove the spark arrestor. There's 3 bolts to remove the spark arrestor. There are 2 on top and 1 in there. This 8mm bolt screws in from the back side, so you got to use a wrench to get it out. To help take it out, we're going to remove this stud. Then we can get our wrench in here And now we should be able to get the other ones out. Careful not to drop it because you'll have a heck of a time trying to retrieve it from the bottom. One more. And this is the spark arrestor. And this one is pretty clean, but we'll clean it up. The easiest way I know of cleaning this up is just take a torch to it and burn the carbon off. And it's all clean. Drop the clean spark arrestor back in there. Make sure it's seated. Now the reason you want to clean that is because it can cause the thing to not run smooth because it's clogged up, can't get rid of its exhaust. And tighten everything up. Put a drop of Loctite on our stud so it won't come back off. And screw that back in. Push the guard back in place. Put the handle back on. Reinstall our heat shield. Tighten it down. When you take this cover off, this little foam gasket is probably going to fall out. And the easiest way to put that back on is to reinsert it into the groove, which is not hard, it goes pretty easy. And slide the cover back on. Put our 10mm nuts back in, tighten them down. While we're here, we'll check our oil level. And it's right up there. Turn it 90 degrees. And let's open this up and we'll change the spark plug, the air filter, and the sediment bowl. This is the spark plug cover. Pull the wire off. I'm using a 13/16 socket. I don't have the 20 or the 21mm that it fits, but the 13 fits just fine. It's a tight fit down in there. They want the gap on the spark plug to be anywhere between 0.028 and 0.032. We'll put it right at 0.030, which is right in the center, and that's a nice tight fit. And we'll put that in. I always like to start them by hand because we don't need to screw up threads. And then we'll screw it in. And you'll feel the compression washer compress and just turn it about a quarter turn past that and you're all set. Just so you know, the Honda plug is an NGK plug. So if you order an NGK plug, you're going to get the same thing as a Honda plug. Put our spark plug wire back on. Make sure it's firmly seated and put the cover back on. We're ready to take the air box out. There's 4 clips. The last one's a little tough to get to. And inside is a pre-filter, which you just wash out with water. And An internal filter, that's like brand new. I'll replace it anyway because I've got it. Next we have to remove the air box to get to the sediment bowl that's in the back here. There's 2 nuts and a bolt that we have to take out. This hose has to come off. The 2 nuts and the bolt are both 10 millimeter. And the air box will come off. And right out. Back in here is the sediment bowl. And it takes a 10 millimeter wrench. Before you attempt to take the bowl off, be sure you turn the gas off on the front of the generator. Put some paper towel in there so that if any gas drips out, it doesn't go into the generator. And take your 10 millimeter wrench and break the nut loose. And then you can turn it off by hand. In my case, the sediment bowl is dry and clean. That's because the last time I used the generator, I ran it dry of gas. That's a good practice so you don't get varnish in your carburetor. All we'll do is wipe this out and put it back in. And we'll screw it back in. Tighten it back up and put our air box back in. I'll use the socket to take the nut and put it back on the stud. Start the bolt by hand. Tighten everything up. Put our hose back on. Put our clean pre-filter back in the cover. Open up our new air filter. And install it. There's one. There's 2, 3, and 4. And we're done in this compartment. We can close this up. Rotate it 90 degrees. And now we're going to go after the battery. This cover comes off the same way as the other one did. Pull the cover off. And our gasket's stuck again. This is pretty dirty in here. We'll take an air hose and blow it out. Take the strap off. This takes a 3/8 inch wrench. I don't know why, but that's what fits. Whenever you disconnect the battery, you always take the negative off first. That way, if you short from the positive to the ground, you won't get a spark. Move the lines out of the way and pull the battery out, which is easier said than done. Take our new battery and put it in. Clamp it down. Connect the positive first. Connect up our negative. Reinstall our gasket. Put the cover back on. Tighten them down. This time I'm being smart. I went and bought some Stay-Bil and put it in the can and filled it up with premium gas to mix it up real good. And now we're going to pour it into the generator. Turn the fuel on, give it a little time to drain down, pull the choke, and let's see if it'll start. fuel off, so it'll run out of gas and we won't have fuel in the carburetor or the sediment bowl. Let it run out of fuel. And when it shuts off, push the choke in and make sure you turn the key off so you don't kill the battery. I believe we've accomplished what we set out to do. We took a generator that wasn't running, cleaned it all up, serviced it, turned the key, and it fired right up. If you like this video, there'll be more.